How long did it take you to get out of the bus, and then how long did it take you, because you say 60 seconds, to then notice that this guy's way up the street with a bandage on his head rolling around?
I left the bus within 12 seconds. I got down the street in another 10 seconds. So within 25 seconds, I had witnessed the cameraman, and about 15 seconds after that, I actually noted this chap. So it was within 45 seconds, he was actually with some kind of headband and lying on the street. And I don't know how he got there, because if it was a bus blast, he must have been flung about 40 to 50 feet. And that is not really feasible with the injuries which he was displaying.
And it was the wrong direction from the way the blast
Precisely.
went. How many operative types or police did you see when you got off the bus around you already staring at it?
Okay, there were about 4 guys in blue bottoms and who had rucksacks. They were kind of foot soldier types. There were about 2 or 3 people who were just standing in the doorways, just watching everything. And there was another guy who was coordinating everything, he was in plain clothes and coordinating police when they finally came forward to actually do something.
Just all there waiting. Oh, here comes the bus. Boom. Ha. Unbelievable, sir. Please stay with us. We've got Steve Watson waiting in the wings with other key comments and questions. Your courage is amazing. Daniel Obachaki is our guest, born and bred Londoner. Talking during the break, it was just unbelievably powerful. I remember making Terror Storm and saying to Rob, my editor here in the office, I go, that photo looks fake. Bandages all over his face, thinly placed, no blood except on his chest, and it looked like it was put on out of a ketchup dispenser, the little squirters that you use, just kind of dribbled down the front. And so many times my instincts are right. Well, it turns out that's the individual that within 60 seconds was flopping around and prancing around in front of cameras and all the waiting police. And notice, though, they didn't, all over every major newspaper in the world, all over every major television network in the world, every news program in the world, no one interviewed him, no one said, where is he now? No one said his name. Everybody else they'd show bloody or bleeding. A day later, they'd say, here's their name. Not him, and now the photo's being jerked everywhere. Please relay and repeat the words you told me during the break, Daniel. Please, in your own words, lay this out.
Yeah, this guy, he was the one that got my kind of curiosity going, because I walked past there with escorting this woman who was hurt, and then I saw him. He had this bandage around his head, his trouser leg was torn, and this was within less than 60 seconds after the explosion, a time before any medical staff had come forward. And the thing about him was he just seemed so fake. So I thought this man must have had prior knowledge, prior intelligence, and he was positioned here. For what reason, I don't know. Then I conducted a search of my own online, because a few days after the 7th of July, his image was everywhere. And about a month ago, I looked, and it had been totally pulled. I mean, it wasn't on any of the BBC websites. It wasn't on any of the international news sites. You just couldn't find this guy. I actually spent about 2 days searching, and then I got 2 images of him, and that's what you see on World Wide Web, thefourthbomb.com, which is my site, where the truth and the facts of what happened in Tavistock Square that day are.
Now, again, your story meshes with all the other witnesses, all the other evidence we have, but I want to be clear before we bring Steve Watson up in the next segment, who broke this with you, and I really am thankful for his great journalistic skills and your courage. Going back, specifics, slow down, take your time. When you see the blue and black Mercedes and the motorcycle cop and the discussion with the bus driver, and it's redirected, let's go back to when they first directed you in the bus to Tavistock Square.
Okay, yeah. Well, what do you want to know? The bus was...
Just slow down and describe everything to me. Just slow down and tell me how they pulled up, what they did, what what their body motions were like, just everything, what they looked like.
Okay. it left Euston bus station and proceeded down Euston Road. It was supposed to go straight from Euston to King's Cross, but these two cars were blocking its path. And then after a short time, a police motorcyclist whizzed up on his bike and had a word with one of the drivers. And
white men, black men, Asian men, what do they look like?
No, the drivers were of European appearance. The motorcyclist had a helmet, so but he had a brief word with one of the drivers, and I thought, okay, thank God for that. This guy will tell the driver to go, and then we can get to where we need to be going. But instead of the police motorcyclist getting the cars to leave, they told him to leave, and he just turned around and sped off. And then,
did you see them flash anything?
They didn't flash anything. He waved something. It could have been some kind of card or pass or something, but as soon as the police...
Who waved? The driver of the blue Mercedes or the black?
The driver of the BMW.
And what color? What color? The BMW was blue, correct?
Blue, yes. The driver of the BMW waved the motorcyclist away with some form of identification. I only assume he had some form of identification.
But you saw him, something in the hand, waved it.
Yeah, that was it.
Absolutely key. Stay there. Your debriefing will continue on the other side. Steve Watson will join in. This is absolutely vital, and we're trying to keep this man safe right now by him getting his entire story out in more detail. I'm Alex Jones, battling the New World Order at point-blank range. I know it was 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. I know that it's not big and spectacular like 9/11, but a lot of people died, and it was used when the British nation was refusing to go along with the war in Iraq, when Tony Blair had barely hung on to his position, when he had lost almost the entire majority that the Labour Party had in Parliament. And it came right when they were having their big G8 summit in Glen Eagles, and it was used as a grandstanding platform to say, see, the terrorists are hitting us, we've got to get tough. And every indices, every piece of evidence, even Scotland Yard and other police forces who had real detectives out were going, these guys weren't suicide bombers. That's buried in the newspaper. These guys, we think somebody planted this stuff on them, or they didn't know. They don't fit the M.O. There was a bomb under one of the trains, not in it. Eyewitnesses said that. You add all these, there's hundreds of points. We put them in the film Terror Storm that I hope you'll get from Infowars.com. That's why it's so important. We spend about 30 minutes of the 2-hour film, or a little bit more than 30 minutes, in London documenting this. And we even show shots of newsstands. We were there 2 weeks after the attacks. And we show newsstands where there's literally like 15, 20 newspapers and magazines, and it's all pictures of the bombing, and half of them are this guy with the thin one layer of bandage. You understand, folks? I've worked, for a large animal vet. My dad's an oral surgeon. I've been in hospitals. I've worked around it. I've worked in the medical field when I was in college as a dental assistant. But even if you haven't, you know common sense. You don't take thin gauze bandage, one layer. And if you even put that on a scuff on your knee that really doesn't bleed but kind of just seeps, when you're playing touch football and you fall down on your knee and it just kind of seeps. I mean, even if it was just seeping, just a microscopic graze, it would stick to his face. No, it appears to be a cap woven heavily on the top and then just thin one straps around his face, like it was some type of already woven helmet he just put on his head. 45 to 60 seconds after the blast, he's flopping around way towards the front, 50 yards north of it. There's other people videotaping, spook types walking around, and then no interviews with him. We never learned his name. He's just, you remember the guy with the bandage. And those eyes have it all, ferret-like, scanning, calculating. And I just remember going, man, something's going on. That doesn't look right. And then he has like a ketchup bottle, that you spray onto your potatoes, you spray onto your French fries, it like a dribble on his shirt.